So let's segue into tonight's guest. I am super honored to have Henry San Miguel. He has been a radio broadcaster for 30 years. That is super impressive. He's been a podcaster for 12. He's host of the Paranormal Perception Show. And of course, like I said, the organizer of the OC Paracon, the first ever Paracon in Anaheim, which is so great. Owner of 22 Creations Multimedia, which is a multimedia production company that specializes in pre and post production for film and TV, sound design and audio production for radio, podcast, TV, broadcast media, you name it. So let's welcome him in. Henry San Miguel, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Hi, Nicole. How are you? I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Yeah. I saw you and the family on Saturday, and now we're here on Thursday. So this week has flown by. It's crazy.
Yeah, the Queen Mary. That was fun. I hadn't been there actually since I think I told you since I was 10 years old.
Since
I
you were 10?
hadn't seen
Oh
it
my
since then.
gosh. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait till it opens and then you can go on board. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry, I was needing some water. Yeah, that's crazy. So they're shooting for October 1st for the ship to reopen. So we're keeping our fingers crossed on that. So I can't wait for you to get on board. So again, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and of course, inviting me to be a speaker at this amazing event in October. I know so many people are pumped for it. So many people are excited. So we'll definitely talk about that. But I thought I'd start out with, what precipitated your interest in the paranormal and how that all started for you, because I know, like me, it started for you when you were very young.
Yeah, I always tell people when they ask me, I always say I didn't go looking for the paranormal. The paranormal found me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's when I was 4 years old. I grew up in San Francisco, and the home that I didn't find out till after this experience I'm about to tell you. I call it the haunted mansion because we didn't find out till we sold it a few years ago. There was an actual portal in there, so that explained a lot of things that I'll probably mention in a second.
What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but my first experience was like I said, when I was 4 years old. It was middle of the night, 2, 3 in the morning. Don't remember. And it was around December, and I don't know why, but I just woke up, and I remember I saw a group of people coming out of my closet, and they didn't look like monsters or scary, and they just looked like people. And to me, as a little kid, I was wondering, who are these people? Why are they in my room? Till it hit me. Oh, they must. Well, I said monsters. I remember that in my head, but I did what most 4-year-olds do: put the covers over my head, and
Of course.
well, I turned on the light, and then I put the covers over my head. In the morning when I woke up, they were gone, obviously, but the light was still on, which told me it actually did happen. I wasn't dreaming. So ever since then, that's what sparked my interest in the paranormal and the unknown, because most normal people, I'll say, most normal people would run for the hills, want nothing to do, probably leave the house. My house is haunted. Okay, that's it. We're gone. But me, I told my parents, but my dad was, he was a World War II vet. He was very, black and white, not scientific. There's no such thing. My mom, she was ultra religious, and so same thing. We don't talk about that here. And we don't talk. So I didn't really have anybody to go to. I didn't know people like you or Paranormal Pete, who I was on with earlier. I didn't know, and we didn't have shows like that back then, really. There was no Ghost Adventures. There was no internet back. Yeah, I'm that old. There was no internet back then, so I couldn't go searching for anything. So I kept it quiet. I didn't say anything to anybody, but that there was a spark that lit that night, and my interest it started there. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know who were these people, how did they get there, all
Exactly.
of that. So that's what started my interest in the paranormal.
That is amazing. And there's parallels with me too, because my very first experience, I think I was around 4 or 5. So I remember that. And just like you, it was just that spark was created right then and there. Were you doing anything like in particular that night that maybe was different for you, that maybe caused you to actually see these figures? Or it just was
No.
just a random experience?
Yeah, I thought about that actually. Now that I know more about the supernatural, the paranormal, I was thinking that I know for sure the obvious, where you're playing with a Ouija board. I wasn't. No, I wasn't watching a scary movie, or I did like him back then. I like to say, I always tell people, I think I'm one of those people that saw The Exorcist too young.
Oh, me
Um,
too. It's a
yeah,
poltergeist at like 5 or 6. Absolutely,
yeah.
me too. Yep.
Uh, but but no, that night I don't remember anything out of the ordinary. Like I said, it was December, I think close to Christmas. I remember because I remember the Christmas tree being on. My parents used to leave it on all night.
Oh, maybe that there's a link with that, maybe.
I don't know,
I
maybe.
don't know.
Well, no, because I kind of find out. I think I found out. I'll say who those people were, not specifically, but when before we sold because I'm in Southern California now, but before we sold that house, because I ended up living there after my parents passed away. Uh, a psychic medium, two psychic mediums actually, and my old paranormal consultant on my show, Doug Carnahan. We were all there, and we went through literally every inch of the house, and we discovered everything that I ever wanted to know. I found out, of course, at the end when I'm about to sell it and not live there. But like I said, that's when we found the portal, and down below, because this is an older house in San Francisco. It was built in 1906. I don't know if it survived the earthquake or was built after the earthquake, but I do know it's from
Right.
1906. So it's old. It's been there for a while. It's seen some history there. Um,
Wow.
and down below in the basement, there's a guy named Thomas, spirit, not a living person, but there's a spirit. His name is Thomas. He's from the Civil War era. In fact, his older son, he told us through the psychic medium, he died in the war. He had a younger son. He said he died. We didn't get from what, but I didn't say anything. But to me, that clicked because
Mhm.
my dad used to have a rental property on that property also. A lot of the tenants and people that just visited there, they would always say that they saw a little boy running around. My kids, my son, they saw a little boy running around. So did my nieces when they lived there for a little bit. So that's more than almost six witnesses seeing that. So obviously it was a real thing. And I think that these people that were coming out of that closet, they were, like I said, I don't know who they are specifically, but I think they were just passing by through that portal that was in the hallway. I think they were just passing by. So uh, they were they were hello, and I just happened to see them. I wake up and see them because I mean, you know this. They say kids can see ghosts. They can, babies especially, they can see them much easier than us grown-ups, well, unless they're like you and I, and most people listening to the show. But most normal people, all the noise, we would go through life, just living, that kind of shuts off the we don't pay attention to ghosts or these things,
Yeah. Exactly.
unless it's something like right in your face, but we don't really pay attention. But kids, we're innocent basically, and so we can see them. So I think that's why them coming walking through the house through that portal, and me, being a kid and being innocent, that's probably those two collided, and boom, there they are. I saw people coming out of my closet, but I
That
think
is
that's what they
such
were.
that is an amazing experience. I love how you say the paranormal found you because it's so true.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to put it. So with the portal, I'm curious, what steps did you guys take to determine that there was one there?
The two psychic mediums, they I don't know, they felt it, I guess is the way to put it, but they knew it was there, and one of them said they don't know, they can't tell if it was from a ritual or if it was on purpose. They think it's been there for a long time, but they think someone may have opened it without even knowing that they opened it, and that's why it's been left open this whole time.
Hi,
We never
Jackie.
really, yeah, we never really. Oh, hi, Jackie. We never really they never closed it, so it's whoever lives in the house now, they have a portal.
That is so intriguing. And San Francisco too, I think is just naturally such a haunted city. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah,
built practically on a ship vessel grade. I mean, there's ships everywhere underneath that city.
there
So
is, but what a lot of people don't know, there's a lot of it is Native American burial ground. That
that yes, you're right. That's true. Oh my gosh. So that
yeah,
right there, that's and then I imagine too, like, did you have a lot of different properties around that house or were you pretty I mean, I imagine if it was right in San Francisco, you would, it was
yeah.
you had
No,
homes on either
those that have
side.
been there or live there, San Francisco, you're literally everybody's on top of each other. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
I know everybody. know San Francisco as a big city. It's really not. Whenever people visit there, especially from out of state, out of town, and they don't believe me, San Francisco is a big city. What are you talking? I take them to Twin Peaks, which is the highest mountain, really the only mountain in the city. You go there, they look at it, and they realize, yeah, it is kind of small because Pacific Ocean starts over here. You take a few steps, and there's the end of San Francisco, and that's it. It's pretty small. So yeah, they don't build out, they build up. So everybody's on top of each other.
That yeah, I know, right? I love San Francisco. I think the first time I went, I think it was like around 9 or 10, and it's weird. My mom and I actually every summer would take road trips, and then
Mhm.
we would go like to San Simeon and Monterey to Hearst Castle and San Simeon, and then up to San Francisco and back. It's truly an amazing city. So, did you work with teams up there, paranormal investigative teams, before you came back down to Southern California, or how did that work for you
No,
up there in San Fran?
no, I never joined a team. I've never been part of a team really. I've never properly investigated, if you want to put it that way, with a team. Like I said, everywhere I go, the paranormal just seems to find me. Even if the location I'm at, whether it's like you mentioned, I've been doing radio pretty much my entire adult life, even before I was an adult. Every radio station, most of them were in San Francisco, some were over here in LA, some in the East Coast. But every radio station I've been at never failed. It was haunted. But funny thing is, only when it was my shift, that was the only time it seemed to be haunted that they wanted to come out. So I was never part of a team. I've never, not that I don't want to. It's just
Yeah.
um, I don't know why. Really, that no one's ever asked me to join a team. So no, I've never been part of. There's a lot in Northern California, a lot of teams there, but and I knew a lot of them. A lot of them were on the show, and I did do events with them, but I never was part of a team.
And you know what? You don't really need to be. I mean, you can investigate the you don't have to be a part of a team to investigate the
Yeah.
paranormal. I was just curious if there were any groups up there that you worked with. But so you've had what, 30 years in the radio broadcasting field. Did your interest in the paranormal fuel your career choice at all in that, or how did that come to be?
In a way, yes, but not radio because that wasn't my dream job. My dream job, I wanted to be a child psychologist or a high school counselor, something in psychology, and
Nice.
that had something to do with with that. With I still had a curiosity, still do to this. Obviously, I do a show called Paranormal Perception, but I always had a curiosity on the supernatural, the paranormal, anything weird. Yeah, I was a weird kid in school. While everybody was talking about the 49ers because they were winning Super Bowls. At that time. I was talking about Marvel Comics and Star Wars and Ghost and like, okay, that's why nobody sat with me at lunch. But
Oh, I would have sat
um,
with you at lunch, Henry. I would have, because I'm right up in
yeah,
that alley, right
yeah,
there.
I wish I knew you back then. That would have been more fun. Lunchtime would have been more fun. But no, the career well, what I wanted to be my career, my dream job. Everybody asks, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" I never wanted to be in radio and me. I never even knew how you got into that. I thought it was cool. Everybody listens to radio, listens to music, or talk radio back then. Not so much, but again, me being the weird kid, I was a kid that did listen to talk radio back then. Um, but I wanted that my experiences, my paranormal experiences. That's what made me want to understand him. It wasn't until I started looking when I think in my junior or senior years of high school when I started looking at colleges, which colleges to go to. That's when I discovered that there was such a thing as parapsychology, and
Yes.
that perked me. I was like, oh wait, what parapsychology? And then when I realized what it was, like that's what I need to do. So when I went to school here, or in LA at USC, and that parapsychology wasn't my major. It was sociology, child psychology. I mean, psychology with a focus on child psychology. Um, Parapsychology. I don't think it was offered there because I wanted to go to UCLA, but because I played football my whole 4 years of high school, and I got the USC on a football scholarship. UCLA never even bothered to look at me, so I said,
Oh my
fine,
gosh,
I'll go
that's
to the other one.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um, but when, they offered I forget what it was called, but it wasn't even paranormal, it was just, something on the fringe of psychology. That's what they called it back then. Now I'm sure every college, everywhere, even high schools, probably do parapsychology classes now because it's more accepted today than it was back then. But that was where I was going. That was my career. I was going to be a high school counselor, child psychologist. But radio came into my life completely by accident, kind of like the paranormal. It found me. I didn't go looking for it when I was 10 years old. My sister, I think it was, yeah, my sister took me to a shopping mall somewhere, and there was how radio stations have their station van. They could do promotions and do giveaways and all that. The station that I listened to growing up, they were there, and I went to introduce myself. It was like a 9.5, 10-year-old kid. Introduced myself, and I guess the DJ, he said, "Hey, this is a cool kid." So he invited me. He went to meet my parents first, obviously, but he invited me to the station, and that's when I was 10 years old, or yeah, 10 years old, and walking into the radio station for the first time. To me, it was like walking into the space shuttle because I'd never seen so many dials and speakers and music, and he's talking and people calling, all kinds of stuff going on. I was hooked, just like I was with the paranormal. I was hooked on radio from that point to now. Maybe, I mean, I'm not on the radio now. I do it online, but from there all through high school, see, again, the weird kid, I never went to prom or any of that stuff because I was at a radio station. I was always I wasn't getting paid at the time, but I was always, doing something in a radio station. So like I said, my dream career was going to be a child psychologist, high school counselor. But what my dad passed away literally a week before my 8th grade graduation, so he never really got to see me do any of that. But my mentor, the guy that I met in that van, became my mentor. Still is the one that got me into radio. When I came back from I think the first summer between my freshman and sophomore year at USC, he sat me down and had the "What are you going to do when you grow up?" talk with me. And I said, "Well, I kind of like this," but he said, "You." I'm not saying don't do it, but you do realize it's about another 8 years, maybe more, of schooling, and then still you never, with what you want to do, you never finish because it always, you'll always learn something new. And I said, yeah, I can do it. And he's the one that told me, you're pretty good at this radio thing. Have you ever thought about doing that? And like I said, I never thought about it as a career. He was doing it, obviously, but I didn't know how you apply, how you get in there. I was just there. I was just hanging out this whole time. I was just his friend doing that. So I thought about it, and after that, I guess he talked to the program director at the time, and they gave me a shot. Anybody that's done radio before, they know they gave me the graveyard. Not even the graveyard. It was like New Year's Eve into New Year's Day because nobody wants to work that
No
shift.
one, yeah, no one wants to
Yeah,
work on New Year's Eve.
and
Yeah.
the the program director, he said, "Okay, let's give the kid a shot. Nobody's going to be listening anyway. If he messes up, who's going to know?" So they let me do it, and it was fine. I mean, it was kind of like what we're doing right now. It was just like breathing to me, which makes sense. What my mentor was saying, that you're pretty good at this radio thing. That's what he meant. So from that point to now, it's been radio. So yeah, I mean, the paranormal didn't affect directly the career. Everything chooses me. The career that chose me, media. I What I wanted to do, it was because of my paranormal experiences, and then when I discovered parapsychology, I really got excited. But obviously, I never went that route because this radio thing kind of worked out for me.
Yeah, it's so funny. I think that this is just my opinion, but I think that all of us have blueprints. So it's like I think we can mold our lives to an extent, but I think it's almost like there's certain things that are predestined for us. And so it just kind of
Yeah,
just happens as it's supposed to be. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, your spark in the paranormal, and then that finding you, and then radio finding you, and then what the two of them have combined to bring you now. You with paranormal perception in your show, which I want you to get into because it's an
yeah,
awesome podcast, and I really, really like the title Paranormal Perception. So I'm
yeah.
curious to get like why you titled it that because I think that's really cool to have that word perception in there.
But before I answer that, I was smiling when you said that a minute ago because, and we'll get into it in a second. At OC
Yeah, yeah.
Paracon, Vernon Mahabal. He's a palmist. He reads your palms using the science of palmistry, not a palm reader. He says he's done reading. He did a palm reading for me a couple years ago when I first met him. Everything that, like you said, that I thought was just completely by accident, it's right in the palms. And he says
That's
everybody's blue, like you said, the blueprint. It's all right here on our palms. So
right.
I think everybody's gonna enjoy that presentation. But
Oh,
paranormal,
yeah. Oh, yes, definitely.
paranormal perception. The first of all, I can't take credit for that, for the name, because that was my original co-host, Erin Olash. She actually is the one that came up with the name Paranormal Perception. She says she put a lot of thought into it. Knowing her, and I mean this in a good way, we're still good friends. I think she just came up with it right there on the spot, but it fits.
It
Um,
does.
because when we started, we she used to do the other show that I used to do, it was called the Geek Speak Show. It was all about what I like, Marvel comics. I used to cover Comic-Con all the time. That's basically what it was, a Comic-Con podcast. um but she was my co-host on that one, but off the air, like most people today do, our conversations always turn to our paranormal experiences, because she still to this day, and her sister, they have a ton of paranormal supernatural experiences. They've seen things that they just can't explain. So we said, instead of talking about this over lunch, or just be in between, when we do the shows, why don't we do a podcast about them? So we said yes, but then we thought about it, because at that point there were a lot. There were a lot of paranormal. There's coast to coast on the radio, obviously, but there's also a million. Well, maybe not a million, but just about a million paranormal podcasts or paranormal themed podcasts out. There's YouTube channels, people on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, Facebook Live. They talk about their experiences or the paranormal. So we sat down and we said, well, if we do this, how are we going to stand out from all those people that have been, and people that that are researchers? They've had years, decades of experience doing it. Like I said earlier, I'm not an investigator. I've been on investigations with people, but I'm not officially an investigator. So what would we talk about? And I said, almost as if we knew what was coming in 2020, but I said, well, why don't we start talking about the world, because the world is pretty paranormal. Again, little did we
It
know how prophetic that statement
right?
was. Uh,
Totally.
and also with paranormal, to me, the word paranormal has never automatically meant ghost. To me, paranormal covers everything: Bigfoot, UFOs, prophecies, glitches in the matrix, anything and everything that's weird or unexplained. I put it under the paranormal umbrella. I know, especially because of the TV shows, the kind of like Kleenex. That's a brand name, but everybody uses it. I need a Kleenex. You mean a tissue? Same thing with paranormal. When people say, "Oh, let's talk about the paranormal," I had a paranormal experience. They're talking about a ghost or something. But when they have a dream that's so vivid that they remember it, I felt like I was there. That's also paranormal. That's not like it could be psychological, but it's also paranormal, because you probably weren't dreaming. You were either um somehow you found a way to astral project, and you didn't even know you could do it.
Right.
So that
I've
it
done that a couple
Yeah.
times. It's weird. It's strange.
It could be awkward depending on like where you end up. Like, whoa, I didn't mean to be here. But but yeah, that I put everything under paranormal. So that's what the show was about. When we started, it started to be too repetitive. We switched it around a little bit, because it was um a lot of ghost hunting people, a lot of ghost teams, and there's nothing wrong with them. But every single week, if all you talk about is a team that went this, and oh, we caught this evidence, we caught that evidence, my thing with paranormal perception is, okay, great. At this point, there's more acceptance, but there's people that have been doing it for 50 years. I mean, John Zaffis is a good friend. He always says, "I'm older than dirt" when he comes on. He's been doing it, even when he learned from his aunt and uncle.
Yeah,
There are people that have been doing it.
he's a great guy. I've met him. He's super
Yeah,
cool.
and he agrees with the way I wanted to do the show. With okay, how long are you going to live on the same thing? Or how long are you going to make your name on the same evidence, the same this, the same that, the same little video clip, fuzzy video clip of I think it's a shadow, I think it's a ghost. How long is that going to go on? What's the next step? Because there is a new generation that's coming
Mhm.
into the in and wanting to know more about the paranormal. So what do they want to know that? Well, I talked to that generation. Their answer is no, because they're very interactive. They're very into it. They have their own channels. They can do their own thing. So they and like most of us when we're kids, they don't want to be told how to do something. So they may want the basics, but then you do you, as the kids say. They want to do it their way. But I do try to, and all the guests that we have, including my paranormal consultants, Unearthing the Supernatural, the guys, they tell them, um, have fun, yes, get educated, but be safe, because it's not always ghosts that are out there. Sometimes you might run into some things that aren't even human. You don't want to mess with those. So that's really what paranormal perception is about. Especially, like I said, after 2020, you just look out your window. There's paranormal right there. Everything that
Oh my
goes like
gosh,
on an
I
hourly
know.
basis, we get paranormal.
The whole world is just, and with the pandemic and everything, I think it's weird how I in the last few years, more and more people are coming forward talking about their experiences, and
Yeah.
it's not as, it's not as taboo anymore. So, it's weird how that happens to be, but, you have a lot of good insight, and I know we have to take a break in a couple of minutes, but and we can obviously talk about this after the break as well, but, you have a lot of insight when it comes to the paranormal and all of that. Where do you see the field of it? Whether it's just like you said, the entire umbrella, whether it's, cryptozoology, ghosts and hauntings, ufology, for example, where do you see the field heading in like maybe 5 or 10 years?
Well, I think we're seeing it literally happen in front of our eyes, and I
Mhm.
hope it does go this way, because this is actually a good thing. Most people think, oh, is a lot of negative stuff? There's some, but the good thing that I'm seeing, even though we didn't really get a lot of stuff, are we getting all these UAP, UFO hearings? I'm really hoping that the kind of acceptance that ghost and talking about ghosts, the way like you and I are doing the show right now, it's on the radio, it's on TV, documentaries, and film, that the UFO community seems that they're finally getting that acceptance. So, I mean, when they saw the Tic Tacs, the hearings that we've had, even though, like I said, we didn't get a lot of information out of it. Nobody tried it out. The little green aliens, like, here they are. We didn't get that, but more people are saying, huh, well, if the government is saying maybe they are real. So, like I said, I with the UFO community, and I'm sure a lot of them agree. I hope that it goes that way, where they get the kind of acceptance that we're getting over on the supernatural, on the ghost, on the demon side, on the
I
demon side.
agree. I agree.
And as far as like the media, TV shows, everything, not the TV shows, those are fine. Ghost Adventures, obviously the top one. Those are fine. I mean, I said it, I think, a couple days ago on Pete Show, that they're fine, but don't take those as gospel. Those are not where you go to find out, like, how do you do an investigation, or how do I get into ghost hunting.
I
But
agree.
what I am see another good thing that I'm seeing is, they call it elevated horror. A lot of the horror films are not just the slasher, the jump scare kind of movies. Now the elevated horror, like Get Out, and those kind of movies, the Jordan Peele movies. He's got another one coming. No, he didn't pay me for that. No plug for that. But he's got another one coming.
I wanna
Um,
see that, by the way. I've seen the trailer
yeah,
like 10 times.
yeah, and
Yep,
a lot
10
of
times.
these really make you think. It's not just, oh, there's the monster, or there's the this, or there's the that. It's things that really could happen, because a lot of it are based in science, or in folklore that could be true. We don't really know. So yeah, I do see supernatural, paranormal, the weird. I do see it trending in a positive way.
I do too, actually. I do too, and I just watched it was a 2010 film. I know we need to go to break here in a minute or so, but I think it was a 2010 film called Troll Hunter.
Yeah.
Very low budget movie. If no one's seen it, I mean, it's free on YouTube. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I said it. It's an amazing movie, and it's truly phenomenal. I mean, one of my favorite movies that I've in that genre. And it's interesting how you can combine different genres and really, it makes you think. So anyways, More on that after the break. We have to take a quick break, got to pay those station bills, and we will be right back, folks. So stay tuned. Normal feel, just enjoying himself, and it's a journey. That's what I always say to people. I always say, you know what? It's a journey. Like every case I go on, it's a journey, it's a new learning experience. So if you were, let's say, wanting to go on, let's say you had 3 top locations that you wanted to investigate, what would those be? In the entire
Uh,
in the entire world.
at the top used to be Waverly Hills, but not right now. Those who listen
No.
to the show, you know why. We did a whole
Yep.
episode on that, but it's definitely up there. That's one of them. Another one would probably be the Winchester Mystery. I've been there a lot. I've done a lot of things, having lived over there, but I want to go there not for like an event because we've done a lot of TV shows and Halloween events that they did there. I did a lot of live broadcasts with radio stations, and wasn't really a serious investigation. So I'd love to go, especially with my guys with Unearthing the Supernatural. I'd love to take Native Americans there and see what they find because these guys they find things that not the typical investigator, I'll say, that they don't find. So I would love to go there with them, not for a TV show or anything, just us, a private investigation. Um, and then another one. Not sure. I mean, those two, honestly, those are my two top that I've always wanted to go to. Oh well, the Queen Mary, when it opens back up, that
That
was
that
another
will
one.
happen, absolutely. It will
Yeah,
happen in the near future, I guarantee it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because I've heard so
I
many
meant
stories. I just never been there.
yeah, yeah, you're due. I mean, if you haven't been since you were 10, you're definitely due. Yeah, I meant to ask you that. I know it's kind of like off topic, but I was like, I'm curious to see what his like top 3 would be. I've been to Waverly. It's amazing, but the news about it, it's kind of sad now. I don't even want to bring that up, but it's truly an
Yeah.
amazing site. The shadow figure phenomenon and all of that. And then you said earlier, you said, and I've heard this before, glitches in the matrix. What are your beliefs? Because everyone has different beliefs on, some people feel like, oh, everything's all connected. Bigfoot's connected with ghosts, and every single paranormal event and entity, there's some sort of connection. What are your thoughts about this whole concept of glitch in the matrix?
I honestly, I never thought they were connected. I thought they were all separate things: ghosts, demons, crypt, like Loch Ness, Sasquatch. I thought all of that was not connected at all. But especially now with the guys on Earth and the Supernatural, all the things that they literally are they live the name of the title of the show. They've given me a completely new perception on life, really, but on the paranormal specifically,
That's
where
amazing.
yeah, a lot of things, yeah, they are connected. There's some things I can't talk about because they've told me because they consider me like family, but we can't share it publicly yet.
Of
But
course.
there are definitely connections to them. When when someone says glitches in the matrix, I've noticed that it seems to have a different meaning for different people. I guess it's depending on
Exactly.
who you
Exactly.
are. The way I see glitches in the matrix is I don't think we're in a computer simulation. A lot of people think that, and that probably from the movie. That's where they get that from.
Right.
But
Right.
I don't think that. I don't think we're in a computer simulation. When I say glitches in the matrix, what I'm referring to is, especially like from 2020 to now, but even before that, things that are too obvious, things that uh, seem even though they're like 9/11 and things like that, even though they're huge tragedies, wars that happen, assassinations, shootings, all the things that happen, uh the facts then line up a little too neatly. That's what I call glitches in the matrix, where we're getting programmed to react a certain way. And I've said it many times on Paranormal Perception on my show, coming from the broadcasting side, believe me, I have been approached by people that they do tell us what to say, how to say, so that we can evoke a certain reaction from the people. And now that we have the internet, there's memes and people put it up that from all over the world. Everyone has the exact same narrative. Everyone says the exact same thing. Everyone delivers it in the exact same way. That's part of that matrix that I'm talking about. I know that's real because that's how I made my living. And It's part of the reason why I didn't want to continue to be in that, and I wanted to do it here online. So that when I say glitches in the matrix, that's what I mean. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, that's a good explanation because you said that earlier, and I've heard that term, and I have my own thoughts about it too. So I'm like, let me pick his brain about that. I agree. It's interesting how things play out and all the synchronicities of everything and all of that. One other thing too that before I forget, you mentioned earlier that in a lot of the radio places where the oops my mic the organizations where you did radio, you said that not it wasn't haunted, but things were following you. Do you think there's something maybe interesting about your energy that kind of elicits spirits to come to you or other, discarnate beings or things like that?
Knowing what I know now, yes. And well, it's a combination of two things. That is now that I know about my aura, my energy. Yeah, obviously it's that. I'm like a magnet. The other
Right.
thing is, like I said, most of my radio was done in San Francisco, and like we mentioned earlier, not a lot of people know. A lot of San Francisco is Native American burial. Nobody even knew they were there when they started digging and building those huge skyscrapers. They stopped because oops, we ran into it. So they had to find the tribe and do the right
Yes.
ceremonies.
Yep.
But when you do that, like with any spirit, you now have restless spirits. So uh,
Right.
it, every time that something happened in one of the radio stations, there was always construction sites or something going on that probably stirred up those spirits. So again, now knowing at the time, it was like that. Everybody feels it. That's that moment of scared. You jump, you realize you're seeing, experiencing something, then that's quickly replaced by thrill, like cool, I saw this or I heard this or that. So there was that reaction when I first experienced it when I was in the radio stations. But now looking back, and especially with the knowledge I have now, yeah, it's a combination of those two why I experienced all that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It reminds me, the Rancho Buena Vista Adobe where I do the Spirits of the Adobe tours. Of course, they're on hiatus because of the pandemic, but it was I think about a year or two before COVID-19 came out, and there's a park adjacent to the Adobe, and then we were told that in that park vicinity they did find skeletal remains. And so
Mm.
they thought, obviously belonging to some sort of Native American. So, the whole ritual, they stopped everything. They were actually, I think, building apartments. And so the building of the apartments were halted. So it's a very, very, it was interesting to witness that. And I think it halted the building of the property, I think for a good like 2 or 3 months because they had to do all of that, all of the research and everything. So, but getting back into the because we've been talking a lot about podcasting and radio. There's so many different podcasts out there about different, paranormal, supernatural topics. You're a veteran in the broadcasting field. So if for someone, let's say someone came up to you and said, "Hey, Henry, I really want to start a podcast. I want to have it paranormal themed, kind of feature guests from all different branches of the paranormal. What are some things I can do to get started? Like what would your advice be to them?"
The first is be sure that you really do want to do it, because especially today in the atmosphere we live in now, they call it cancel culture. Now it's always
Oh,
been
I know.
around.
It's
Yeah, that's
crazy.
always been around, but today especially, I can say hi, and I just probably offended 90 people out there just because I said hi, or the way I said hi,
Yes.
or didn't say
It's
hi.
so sad. Like, what is
Yeah.
going on?
So well, that's what I mean when I tell them that is not the cancel culture, but what comes from it to you, because when you put yourself in the public eye, you're in the public eye. I mean, I know a lot of people hear that and it's like, oh, that's cool. I'd like to be famous. Uh, Believe me, and this is not a brag, I've been famous. It is not that cracked up. It is not as cool as people think it is. You lose a lot of your privacy. You lose a lot
Mhm.
of, you can't do a lot of things. And especially when you're on the radio or on television all the time, when you do a weekly talk show, or on, again, on the radio, when you're on 5 days a week, everything you say is scrutinized, especially today in the cancel culture we live in. Everything you
It's
say is scrutinized. So
so
that's what I would
frustrating.
Yeah, that's the first piece of advice I would say to somebody that wants to. I want to do a podcast. I want to do a YouTube or this. I said, make sure I don't tell them make sure you know your topic because obviously you have the passion. That's why you want to do it. But
Right.
make sure you can handle what comes with it because kind of like the pros, you've got to have really tough skin. And if you don't take rejection well, this might not be. Yeah, you might not want to do it.
That's really good advice, and then too, like, the time too for it,
Yeah,
you have to commit your time and, I'm one of these that I'm more about quality over quantity, that's just how I've always been. So, but that's good advice, and I mean, it's so saturated, the market with different, paranormal podcasts, but it's in a way there's pros and cons to that because you get different viewpoints and different guests come on. I can't tell you what I've learned. I mean, every guest that I have on my show, I learn something new. So
yeah,
it's, picking people's brains and, we're all kind of going for the same thing, hopefully, and aiming for the same, thing, which is trying to figure out, not necessarily prove the existence of the paranormal, but we all have that passion to explore the unknown. So yeah, that's really, really, really good advice. What else here? I know we're 15 minutes. I want to leave some time to talk about the OC Paracon because that's huge and the origins of it. Because I know last year you had the conference, but you had it virtually.
yeah.
So let's go ahead and talk about that and kind of how that all came to be and what people can expect. Of course, they can go to the website, but what people can expect because before you know it, it's going to be October 1st, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's today. It's I think 100 days until Halloween. So it's
Oh my
probably
god, that's
last till
nuts.
last till OC Paracon, which is on October 1st. So it went virtual last year. The idea for what eventually became Orange County Paracon actually started in 2020, before the world shut down. Because when I
Yeah.
moved here, it was amazing to me. I asked because I'd covered, like I mentioned, back in San Francisco, Northern California. I've covered paranormal conferences there. There's a ton of them over there. There's some in Arizona, and
Yes.
Pete does his. There's a lot of them in the East Coast and the Midwest. There's a lot of them, but here in the LA, the Orange County area, there aren't any. There's film festivals. There's San Diego Comic Con. There's Midsummer Scream. There's little all the Halloween haunts that pop up. Not Scary Farm when that was happening. I think it is happening again this year.
I
The
think
Queen
so
Mary,
too.
yeah, the
Yep.
Queen Mary. All we have all of those, but that there's never been a conference, a paranormal conference like what this one's going to be like what Pete does and what everybody thinks of when you say paranormal conference. And I know because I asked people who've lived here their entire life, people that are paranormal celebrities, that are they're researchers, there's medium psychics. They have teams, they're part of a team. And I've asked them, have you guys ever attended or been to a Paracon here in LA or in Orange County? And the answer was no. They had to think about it. Like, no, there's never been one. So I said,
It's so ironic.
why not?
You'd think like
Yeah,
LA would have a lot, right? It's so crazy. And
yeah,
even San Diego. I mean, the last one that I know of was the Maritime Ghost Conference in 2010.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
insane.
I don't know if it's because people get intimidated by the fact that you'll be competing with Knott's and Disneyland and everything that's here, Universal, all the things that happen. Um, I mean, you don't have to do it around Halloween time. I just did it
Right.
because it's Halloween time.
Yeah, why
But
not?
I mean, I knew that when I said, I'm gonna do it on the first weekend in October, October 1st and 2nd, and I knew I'm gonna be competing with Universal and Disneyland and their Halloween stuff and Queen Mary if that ever opens. Actually, they just announced earlier this week, Shaq of all people, Shaquille O'Neal, he's doing what is it, Shacktober at the Queen Mary around September, October. So I'll be competing with that. So, but I knew that.
I heard that too. That's so bizarre. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's slated to open on October 1st, like I said. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I knew what I was up against. Like I said, maybe that's why other people haven't done it because they
could
get
be.
intimidated taking on Disneyland and all these attractions that go on here. But I've it psychic mediums. They've told me I have a lot of guardian angels, a lot of people around me all the time, and that's why I didn't know. I thought I was just lucky, but that's why, because I have a lot of people watching over me. So everything that I've always tried professionally and personally, it's never failed. There's been very few failures in life, so I'm not worried about competing with whatever is happening with OC Paracom,
It's a
because I know,
stepping stone, it's
yeah.
got to start somewhere and build up, and that's just how it's going to be. And I
Yeah,
mean, it's going to be
and I'm
great.
seeing from the people here and the hotel that they're excited. Everyone's excited because, like, again, there's never been one, and everyone is interested in the paranormal. So yeah, they definitely want to be there, and it's not going to be huge. It's not going to be like San Diego Comic Con size. I mean, I don't know if it grows to that. I don't know if I'd want to do it because I've
True.
covered San Diego a lot and Comic Con a lot. It's chaos. It's just trying to navigate alone, let alone trying to get the panels or anything. It's chaos. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Actually, my one of my friends, Eric, he's a high school teacher in Chula Vista, National City area here in San
Mhm.
Diego. He has gone to Paracon every year, I think, for I think almost like 35 years. So
Yeah.
he's going to, and he's also very into the paranormal. So he's going to be at the OC Paracon as well. So I'll introduce you guys because he's a huge, huge Comic
Yeah.
Con person, like every year for like 35 years.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have, I mean, obviously speakers, and I know Patty Negri is gonna be doing her seance, and
Mhm.
there's gonna be all kinds of vendors. Anything else that I didn't mention that you want to talk about in regards to the OC Paracon?
Well, I mean, this was a plan from the beginning anyway. I'm gonna have Unearthing the Supernatural. They're gonna open it with a ceremony, a Navajo ceremony, and they do that at every event that they do. And when people see them do it, to most people, it's, oh, cool. I put it on my Instagram, my social media. But people have to understand that when they do that, it's like for Catholics or Christians, when you say a prayer before you go anywhere, this holds us. It's just as holy. These ceremonies are just as
Right.
holy.
Of course.
So they're doing that to bring positive energy to. They ask the spirits around there. We're not going to bring them out or anything. If somebody from the hotel is listening, we're not bringing up ghosts, so don't worry about that. But it's so that nothing, because of the energies that will be there from you and Pete and everybody else that's going to be there. Patty, obviously, anybody that knows or has been around Patty, just she just walks in the room and it's like, oh, you get hit by her positive
Yes.
energy. So
Yes.
all of those energies in one place, kind of like you asked about me earlier, it's going to attract spirits, and what the ceremonies that they do, it's for everything to go right, to go good, and so that we don't have anything negative coming in. There'll be a barrier to that, and Patty does the same thing also. But there'll be that. I'll be Paranormal Perception. I'll have with the guys. I'll have a table there. We'll be recording video interviews. So with you, Pete, Patty, Rick McCall, everybody that's going to be there, we'll do interviews on video as well as besides your presentations. And I'm also going to have a little setup where the attendees, because this was a huge hit last year when I did it on the show, they're going to come. They're going to sit down and they're going to share their experiences, their ghost stories, whatever happened to them when they were kids, and then that gets replayed on the Halloween and then the Christmas episodes also.
Oh, that's fantastic. So are you gonna just have like one or two per episode, or are you gonna make an entire episode of it, do you think? Of different
I probably
stories?
two-parter, because last year
Probably.
I asked them to send in their stories. I got like literally thousands. I didn't air all of them, and they're okay. I mean, Christmas, I didn't know what to do on for the Christmas episode. Halloween, I mean, yeah, Halloween is obvious on a paranormal show. What don't you do for Halloween? But Christmas, I was trying to think, well, how do we do paranormal, until I remembered in the 1800s, Christmas was basically what Halloween is. That's where
Yes.
Christmas Story, I mean, a Christmas Carol. That's where that story came from, Charles Dickens' story, because Christmas was like Halloween. It was commercially like Halloween. Even everyone spoke about that was the Christmas tradition. It wasn't opening presents; it was telling ghost stories. So I said, why don't we bring it to Panel Perception? And that was a huge hit. Everybody sent in their stories, and that was their Christmas episode. Christmas stories. A couple of people sent in a song. So that we're gonna do that there live, and then they'll hear it back on Halloween or the Christmas episode.
I'm like so excited for this. And of course I'll be, speaking about the Queen
Yeah,
Mary, the history and my experiences on board spanning close to 20 years. But I think it's going to be such a great event. And I think having these amusement parks nearby, I mean, there's pros and cons because I think that that is going to draw people in as well.
yeah. Hmm.
So I'm really really looking forward to it. And you kind of touched on this as well. One of my questions was, what do you see for the convention in the future? What's the future of OC Paracon? But you kind of already touched on that a little bit. So, and I commend you. I'm very honored that you asked me to be a part of it. I'm super super excited. So, with the few minutes that we have left, any other events that you want to plug, or any other, you know, things that you're working on that you want to share? The mic is yours.
Yes.
He's like, yes.
Next Friday, we're gonna go and we'll be starting 4th of July weekend. It's our birthday, the country's birthday. So you guys get the presents. Well, I'm not gonna tell you all the details now. It'll be on ocparacon.com next Friday morning. There's gonna be a special on tickets. Like I mentioned with Pete and on the show, not just gas, everything, prices, everything is going up, and people are thinking twice, thrice, even about taking family vacations or summer
Oh, I
vacations or
know.
even going
I
shopping.
know.
So to alleviate that a little bit, I want to give you guys a deal for 4th of July weekend, starting Friday all the way through That's Monday, 4th of July this year, all the way through Monday. Go to ocparacon.com. You'll see a special there, and if that doesn't entice you to get tickets, I don't know what will. Probably giving them away for free, but I'm not going to do that.
I will mark my calendar to make sure to remind people of that. So I'm this has been such an amazing hour. You have a lot of insight in the paranormal field, which is great. A lot of similarities too. Like I said earlier, my very first experience was when I was like 4 or 5, and all of that. And like you wanted to be a high school counselor. Actually, I got a master's in that and have done that. So
Mm,
it's weird how, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but it's, working in the paranormal field, I think it like attracts like. You kind of
yeah,
mentioned this, and people that are supposed to meet and work with each other in the field are going to meet. So just incredible people that I've met in the field. And I can't wait to meet all the speakers. I know a few of them, but there's a couple that I haven't met yet. So I'm really, really, really excited.
yeah,
Thank you so much for coming on the show. You're always welcome back anytime,
yeah.
because
Thank you
I
for
know
having
there's
me.
all kinds of other things we can talk about in terms of the supernatural
Yeah,
umbrella. So there you have it, folks. That was Henry San Miguel, of course, host of Paranormal Perception and organizer of the OC Paracon, Anaheim's first ever paranormal convention, which of course will be taking place October 1st and 2nd at the Sonesta Hotel in Anaheim, California. Of course, you can go to the website there at www.ocparacon.com. Of course, Paranormal Perceptions also on Instagram as well. Paranormal Perception 2, and then of course the OC Paracon on Instagram as well at OC Paracon. Thank you so much to Henry for joining me tonight. Great, great episode.